A few weeks ago, I stumbled upon a video on YouTube that really caught my attention. Let's watch. All of a sudden, I had huge waves of nostalgia and flashbacks rush to my mind about playing with these kinds of toys when I was a kid. That one piece of music with the shitty compressed audio just amused me. I hadn't heard that damn sound for years, maybe over a decade now. I remember specifically being in Asia at the time visiting family and playing with one of these cheap Chinese knockoffs. It was a toy bus that when activated played the exact same audio over and over again on repeat. Lights would flash on and off, it would start spinning around. I miss being a kid. As I sat there reminiscing on the past, I thought of a question that made me really want to make this video. What song is this, and why is it being played in all these toys? Now, for the longest time, I actually thought this song was in Mandarin. The cheap speakers and shitty sound quality made it really hard to tell what was actually being said. As a kid, I just assumed it was Mandarin since I'd usually get these at Chinese flea markets or in Chinatown. In fact, many people throughout the comments remember things differently depending on where they live. Now, the official lyric for the soundbite is "I'm your little butterfly," but there are many cases of people hearing things like
Catarina não tem pai.
Paali minum tapay.
Ang Joni Sula Jablay.
Even another commenter here agrees that it sounded like Mandarin. Now, I'm pretty sure this is because of a thing called audio pareidolia, which is basically the phenomenon of people hearing words or music that aren't actually what's being played. For example, it's similar to the whole Yanny Laurel thing that happened a few years ago. Now, what's interesting about this is that this seems to be a region or culture locked pareidolia, meaning that if you were raised in France, for example, you would hear words and sentences in French from badly compressed audio. Anyway, the song's official name is Butterfly by Smile.dk. If you're a bit older and you're watching this, you might remember this song from the first Dance Dance Revolution, both of which were released in the year 1998. It even got featured on Dance Dance Revolution X to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of DDR. The song premiered on their debut album, named Smile, which actually received a lot of attention in Japan, which is where Konami, the company behind DDR, comes into play. Smile.dk itself is a Swedish Eurodance band formed by Veronica Almqvist and Nina Boquist. However, after the attention and notoriety from their hit single, Nina would leave Veronica to go solo, being replaced by a woman named Malin Kernby. Despite being Swedish though, they actually changed the band's name from Smile to Smile.dk because they were being heavily marketed in Denmark. Unfortunately, Veronica is the only remaining member as people joined and left throughout the 2000s and the 2010s. After a fairly easy answer to my first question, I got to my second one. Why did this song appear in all these toy phones? Now this question would be a lot tougher to answer. Before we get into that though, let's talk about the toys themselves. Like I said before, I would always find these toys out in the street market being sold by vendors. I decided to look online to find some, thinking I could track down a specific company. No dice, it was dead end after dead end. Knowing that most of these were bootlegs and knockoffs, I went to the one place that was notorious for that kind of stuff. That's right, Wish.com. However, after searching for terms like cell phone toy, flip phone toy, Barbie phone, Spider-Man phone, Chinese toy, etc., it didn't really turn up anything I was looking for. Just the usual iPhone for 20 bucks. Same story with Alibaba.com, which is kind of like a Chinese Amazon. In my research though, I came to a pretty promising lead. After a bit of digging, I found this company. Zhangping Toys, located in Zhangping City, China, states here that it specializes in the development, manufacturing, and marketing of plastic toys, gifts, etc. here on the About page. Furthermore, it was founded in May of 2004, which is around the time Butterfly was very popular. Things seem to be lining up very well. However, looking through their entire catalog of all the plastic toys they had, it wasn't exactly the type that I and many others remember. I couldn't even verify if they played the same soundbite. Unfortunately, this lead turned out to be another dead end. No matter how far I looked, it seemed like I could never find a company, distributor, or manufacturer behind these things. I mean, those street vendors had to have gotten them from somewhere, right? At this point, I gave up on trying to find a company and instead focused on the why. But it looks like a lot of other people had the same question that I did. Why does every Chinese manufactured cheap toy phone use the exact same song? I used to have one of those Spider-Man toy phones as a kid that would play this song. Recently, I found the song, Butterfly by Smile.dk. So my question is, why this song from 1998? Is it just because some Chinese manufacturer decided to go with it? Did they deal with any sort of copyright issues? I couldn't find anything on the internet for why this song was used over and over again. So many people have a deep and nostalgic relation with this song, and I think it should be talked about more. Why was the melody to Butterfly so widely used on cheap electronic toys in the 2000s? We've all heard this song somewhere, but most people know it from its melody presence on cheap Chinese and Asian toys back in the 2000s. Is there any reason to this? Did the melody exist before the song? That weird song found in most cheapo cell phone toys. It's weird because I swore I heard that song in most cell phone toys when I was visiting China. Remember this song? It's the one that gets played from Chinese bootleg toys, i.e. Barbie phones. My first hunch is that it's one company making the internals for these toys. Regardless of the exterior design or the brand selling it, the innards probably all came from the same production line. That's likely. I've heard one company in China produces 1/3 of all toys on Earth. It's just horrifying how much they can manufacture. Yeah, makes my ears bleed. Those things were the product of imbalanced trade with the dragon, effectively destroying our domestic toy industry. These toys have all sourced the same IC chip from a single maker for almost 20 years. Who's the maker? As a Filipino kid who had a toy chest filled with these Chinese bootleg toys, this was a huge nostalgia kick. I even found a page dedicated to this thing on Fandom Wiki of all places. People have been discussing this for a while now. I found a blog post on WordPress.com talking about this thing called Benign Girl. Curious, I looked it up and it turns out Benign Girl is a poorly translated Taiwanese knockoff of Barbie. And looking at the images, it was exactly what you and I expected. The very knockoff plastic toys, which had the same soundbite of Butterfly. The comments of the blog post are dated as far back as 2008 and 2009. At this point, I was looking for anything I could go off of just to answer the one question I had. Lo and behold, I would soon get that answer. I stumbled upon a YouTube channel during my research called China Tech, which seems to review and showcase a lot of these Chinese toys. One particular video caught my attention though. It was a compilation of all the songs that are used with these kinds of toys. So it turns out Butterfly isn't the only instance of a certain song being used for these kinds of knockoffs. It was happening to other bands too, like Aqua, Venga Boys, and Eiffel 65. I did notice a pattern, however. Most of these songs happen to be Eurobeat from the late 90s and early 2000s. I was out of leads on my own investigation, so I decided to email the person behind China Tech directly to see if they had any answers. I introduced myself and asked a few questions. Question 1. I found out that the song I remember hearing the most is Butterfly by Smile.dk, but it always confused me as to why this song was used so much. Do you know why these Eurobeat type songs from the late 90s and early 2000s were used so commonly in these toys? Question 2. Despite playing with and owning a lot of these toys, I can't seem to find any of them in my house. I've asked other people, but they don't seem to have any lying around either. Do you know the company, manufacturer, or distributor of these toys? Thanks. One day later, I got a response. Hi, thanks for reaching out. Most of the songs used were taken from unpopular compilation CDs in Asia or China where these sound cards are manufactured. These were used in hopes that the unpopularity of the songs would make it less likely to get in trouble with copyright laws. However, this is not the case. Many of these songs are very uncommon and hard to find because they're covers. Another reason is that the songs are 90s pop, which is happy and cheerful, which suits the toys, but is also quite rare music. It's all down to whoever manufactured the sound cards and which company bought them. The company would probably take a sample from one of the CD compilations, loop it, and then put it on a chip. For example, one company will manufacture the sound cards and the other one will make the toys. The toy company will buy the sound cards from the other manufacturer at a low price in large quantities. There's no main reason I know why some songs were more common, but my most logical guess is that a lot of these Butterfly sound cards were produced more compared to others, and maybe because they were cheaper than most. The toy factories will obviously buy the cheapest parts they can to lower costs and increase profit. Lastly, the brands or companies most of the time are fake. One factory may change their branding name after a few toys they design. This could to avoid getting caught or make it look like there's more variety. This can be seen with the very similar quotes that make no sense on the boxes with very similar graphic design. You'll never really find these toys by the listing of their brand, unless someone who has it bought it and it's pre-owned. This is because the toys are sold and unbranded online, and the boxes are almost never shown. These brands just make it look good at the store or most commonly in markets. All these toys come with fake CE and safety markings, which have been printed off the internet. They aren't actually safety tested. So it turns out most, if not all, of these companies were fake, and the Butterfly sound card was just mass-produced and shared around. With all that information, I think it was safe to say that I was satisfied. My questions were answered and I was relieved I could put this whole mystery to rest. Before I end the video, I want to give a massive thanks to China Tech for providing essentially the full conclusion to this thing. I really don't think I could have made this video without their help. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video and want to see more, you could like, sub, and share. It really helps.